What just happened?
Welcome back.
It's Sunday.
What the hell just happened?
Y'all know what that means. It's first of the month.
I messed that up.
Some NFL players got their checks. They didn't deserve them.
Few coaches got their checks. Few coaches got their checks.
Some coaches may got their last check.
Hey,
Welcome back to Under Construction. Isaac's kids sitting in today because
we need support. Because we all need support today. That's why.
I got Vince back with the beard.
Yeah, buddy.
He made it through No Shave November. Congratulations. Got Richardson to the left of me, and the angriest black fan in Charlotte right now.
It's the Numb black fan.
Wait, real quick. Before we came over here today, Rodney sent me and Jamaal a text message, right? And he asked us if we were going to the game today because the tickets were so cheap. And Jamaal said, you know what? I could have went, but I chose not to go because I didn't want to be late to record. Jamal, aren't you glad you didn't go to the game today?
It's the best decision I've made all month. It is literally the best decision I made.
You saved your $14.
I saved my $14.
You saved your $14.
And Matt, before we go on, Vince, I'd like to congratulate you for a new business opportunity.
Okay, what's up?
Because you can help Ron Rivera look for a new house.
Hey, Ron, look, holla at me, man. I get it sold for top dollar, man. Holla at me.
Shit, you can help Norv, Kyle Allen,
Marty, maybe.
The trainers. You can help them look.
Oh, man. Look, let's just get into it. No BS, because we're going to spend all our time. We're just going to get right into it, all right? So, unless you've been on the rock for the last 24 hours, you know that the Panthers just lost to the Skins, 29-21. The 2-9 rookie led by Dwayne Haskins.
It wasn't 3-9. It wasn't West Meck.
It wasn't West Meck. It was an NFL team. It was an NFL team led by a rookie quarterback who half of the organization doesn't even want to play right now, came into Bank of America Stadium and said, thank you for your barbecue. Now we're going back to D.C. to listen to our go-go music. Just going to run a few stats, and I'm just going to let you guys go, okay? So Kyle Allen, statistically speaking, didn't have a bad day. He threw for 275 yards, 2 touchdowns, but he had that one costly interception, and then he had 2 fumbles where he lost one on the last possession of the game, which I found ungodly hilarious just based on how the last 2.5 months have gone. Let me see what else. Christian McCaffrey, where were you today? Oh, you're way over there by yourself, and Kyle Allen doesn't see you. That's where you were. Okay, only 102 total yards of offense today. Eric Reed led the team in tackling again today.
Is there a stat that says when Eric Reed leads the team in tackles, we lose? Is there something?
I don't know.
There has to be.
Because
seems like every time he leads the team in tackling,
what did
I
say in the middle of the game? We missing Thomas Davis.
Yeah.
And it's not that Shaq Thompson is actually playing phenomenal this season.
Yeah.
But the problem is that our packages are a little different because last year we could play Luke in the middle, and then you got Shaq Thompson on the left side, Thomas Davis on the right side, so we didn't have to run nickel packages. We could come out in just a base 4-3 and still have 2 guys that could cover in Shaq Thompson and Thomas Davis. Now we don't have that. Now we have to run a nickel package, which puts a cornerback or defensive back in the slot, and then when you got Adrian Peterson barreling down through the B gap,
right?
Eric Reed has to come down and shoot the gap to make the tackle. So that's that's probably one of the biggest reasons our run defense looks the way it does.
And who wanted to switch to 3-4?
Yeah, well, look, and speaking of run defense, Carolina only had 65 yards on the ground today, while Washington racked up 248 yards rushing.
Okay. Might I also add, they were the worst rushing offense in the entire league coming into the day. Let's throw that out there.
Yeah, so, just all over the place. Carolina was 5 of 16 on third downs. We punted the ball 8 times. Kyle Allen was sacked 6 times. I think the one positive that you can take away from this game that no one will talk about was that our field goal kicker, the rookie Sly, had a bounce back game and went 3 for 3 on extra points.
And an incredible onside kick.
Was that Sly that kicked that? Was Sly that kicked that? That was a beautiful onside kick.
I mean, that was about as perfect as you could make an onside kick.
And we marched down the field.
We marched right down.
I'm going to tell you how pathetic our second half was. You know what the most well executed play was up until like maybe fourth quarter?
What you got?
Was a damn punt. It was a damn punt.
Well, when you do it 8 times in a game, you get pretty good at it.
You should actually get one right?
All right, those game reps help.
So yeah, statistically, Kyle Allen didn't have a bad game, but here's the thing.
I gotta say my saying. I'm gonna let you go. Stats don't lie, but they also don't tell the entire truth.
True. No. So that is the kind of game where if Cam Newton had that, no one would care about the stats. They talk about the poor decision making and the overthrows, both of which Kyle Allen had today in spades. And it's funny that now the narrative is, man, we need an O-line, as if most of us hadn't been saying that for the last 9 years. Like, so Kyle Allen deserves that same smoke
criticism
that Cam Newton gets, especially considering he had Christian McCaffrey open on the interception that he threw from our own 2-yard line.
Yep.
And then he had Jarius Wright wide open in the end zone on the final play of the game.
One read quarterback.
Which he fumbles away. You can't write the script any better.
Now, it's funny you say that because it ties into what I just said. And Rodney just said he's a one-read quarterback. So first quarter, Kyle was like 9 for 9, and he's throwing the ball all down the field. And it looks like we're on the way to blowing the Redskins out. Redskins make an adjustment. Okay, we're going to take away your first read, and we're going to make you do the second and third read. What happens? Anemic offense. That's what happens. And it is just the perfect way to tie in what Kyle Allen is. These stats are going to lie to you most of the time. You get what I'm saying? So here we are. This guy's missing a wide open Jarius right in the end zone that could have possibly tied the game up. But here we are, guys.
Well, Rodney, let me ask you a question.
It's funny how this works.
Let me ask you a question. How do you go up 14-0, not even midway through the first quarter, looking like you're just about to run away with it, and end up losing to a team who came into your house 2-9?
This is what happens. Your scripted plays work, and you fail to make adjustments. The other team adjusted to what you were doing. You failed to make those readjustments, which has been the story, the narrative, Ron's whole career in Carolina. And you get this. We don't have an offensive line. Washington adjusted to us. We didn't change anything. This happens. Let me ask you guys a question. Do you think the players gave up on Rivera today?
In spots, it looked like it.
I would say no. I would, and this is gonna come off that I'm picking on the kid, and it's not the case. Body language alone, it looks like Kyle Allen gave up today.
Yes, I was gonna say if anyone gave up, it was.
Because the fact that we did the onside kick and it wasn't like a normal recovery. Mm-hmm. I mean, I can't remember who recovered the ball. Jermaine Carter. He laid out for that ball. Like he went all out for that. And then we drove down to the field the way that we did. I don't think the team gave up. I mean,
that pick that was called back, it was like Jerry's right quick. He saw the guy on the floor. He's like, F it.
Well, and maybe he saw the ball skip on the ground because that actually happens a lot in the NFL.
To the whistle, man.
I understand. I understand that.
So here's the thing, man. I don't know if we could or not, but here's what I do know. I do know when a team is running it straight down your throat, nothing pretty, nothing, no funny play design, no draw, no counters, no nothing. When it's just straight up the gut and you can't stop it, that takes the will from a defense, man. And that's why I say it looks like they gave up in spots. There's a play. I think the Redskins scored a play where the receivers running the drag route and Kuechly and Thompson are side by side each other, and they're just looking at the guy run a drag.
Kuechly missed the play.
And if you want to call, I don't know if I'm going to call that giving up or not, but it damn sure looked like they lost focus. And it's all the same to me, man. So I'll say they lost their will at some point.
I don't know. I don't know. This is gonna sound crazy. I don't know if our personnel is good enough for that to even matter. At some point,
I agree.
You got to win.
I agree.
You got to win your one-on-ones.
Right.
Offensive line.
How many one-on-ones did we win today?
Exactly.
Right.
And
I was thinking that today.
So
man.
I think, the guys get frustrated. They're like, I can't beat this guy in front of me. Darryl Williams, he knew he was going to lose every snap.
Let's not act like we had any expectations.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
Let's not do that.
So let me ask you guys a question. So Tepper last week had that Monday morning, the Monday afternoon powwow where he laid into everybody. What do you think happens this week?
If I wake up tomorrow and Ron Rivera is still coach, Tepper missed an opportunity.
Ooh, wow, that's strong.
I don't know. I don't know if Tepper is that kind of guy though. And let me say, I hope he's not. Regardless of if he keeps Ron Rivera, if he decides not to keep Ron Rivera, I'm just one of those people I feel like wait to the end of the season.
Yeah.
Because at this point, what does it matter?
Well, and my comment actually came from Twitter. I saw that on Twitter while we were saying that. I really wanted to say it, and I appreciate you for allowing me to throw that in there. I'm kind of the same mindset as you guys. You guys know I've been wanting Ron out of here for years now.
Me too.
But I don't like firing the coach mid-season.
Yeah.
So let him see the season out, and then just tell him thanks for your service afterwards.
You need to give him a chance to put the house up for sale.
Yeah,
make some arrangements to where you want to move next to, and get everything in line.
You know who has not been called out? Why hasn't Marty Hurney been called out? And
he's collateral damage. I think if Ron is gone, he's gone.
Because I want to go back to Kaiser's point real quick. Maybe these guys are not as good as we want them to be. There's a lot of one-on-one battles that we didn't win any, and we haven't been winning any for a couple of weeks now. So that leads me to believe that maybe this team just is not as talented as we all want them to be. Mm-hmm. And whose job is it to get talent on the team?
It's true, but to be fair, at the beginning of the season, the Panthers, at least the defense, looked good on paper.
Yeah,
but you lost KK Short, and I keep telling people just how important that was. So.
But now, with all of the injuries that we've had, how much do you think that will go into play as far as determining Rivera's future after the season?
This is my thing. This is year 3 of no playoffs. The time to factor that in was past. I mean, you've had chances, man. Like, you could have made that switch from Cam Newton at quarterback earlier last year, but you wanted to kind of stick it through to kind of save your butt. I mean, so... At this point, what are you losing?
It's hard. It's hard to say because if you take any team and you take away their quarterback, who, and we're not just talking about any quarterback, we're talking about Cam Newton, and then you replace him with someone who's not nearly as good to where the drop off is significant. And let's be honest here. The drop-off between Kyle Allen and Cam Newton is much bigger than people wanted to admit it is.
Right.
It's going to be hard to win games. Yeah. It's not a situation like New Orleans where the reason the drop-off between Drew Brees and Teddy Bridgewater wasn't that big. Teddy Bridgewater is not as good as Drew Brees, let's be honest. But he wasn't asked to do what Drew Brees is asked to do. Kyle Allen was being asked, go out there and win us games, like Cam Newton would do, and he hasn't been able to do it so far. So it's hard to blame Ron Rivera for that. If anything, the blame that he gets should be you asked a backup quarterback to do too much.
Right.
Okay.
Or you didn't want to get a veteran backup quarterback at the beginning of the year, knowing that your quarterback has an injury history.
You know, it has been 2 weeks since the end. You know what? Go, Jamaal. What you got?
I was just gonna say I don't want to sound like a broken record, but Kawan Short was hurt early in the year too, which affected this run defense that supposedly Ron Rivera is supposedly in charge of, for lack of a better term. So
he's gonna fire himself.
I mean, and then on top of that, the last point I want to make, man, I'm kind of tired of talking about injuries because the the Washington Redskins had a lot of guys out too.
They did.
So
they did. So Rodney, you mentioned this is about to be the 3rd straight year that we've missed the playoffs. If we don't miss the playoff, if we don't make it this year,
we're not making it.
So here's the deal: we're 5-7. We have the Falcons, the Saints, the Seahawks, and the Colts still left on our schedule. Do we make the playoffs this season?
No.
Okay. Everyone's in agreement.
The main question is, do we win?
Do we win a game?
Everyone's in agreement that we don't make the playoffs.
Right.
Now, you guys got to talking about Matt Hurney and all this stuff, right? And after we miss the playoffs, this will be our third straight year without the playoffs. So you know what this means coming from me? This will be another year that Ron Rivera does not see the playoffs because the GM that we kicked out of here a couple years ago up in New York, every time Ron Rivera saw the postseason, he has Dave Gettleman attached to his name.
Except for the first year they made it.
I wouldn't know. Every year Ron Rivera is mentioned in the playoffs.
That's true, but I'm not going to give Dave Gettleman credit for that 12-4 season.
No.
Hurney left 4 games in. Gettleman didn't do anything. He was the new GM, and really that was Ron Rivera took a team that we thought was bad, and they won the division. So if you want to give Gettleman credit for the other playoff berths, fine.
Take it.
But to that point, this is still really Gettleman's team.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the
It really is.
The veterans, yeah.
Yeah, the best players might be, you look at Luke and Cam; those are Hurney guys as well. But I mean, everyone else, this is the team Gettleman built. So I don't know how much blame you really give Marty Hurney. We know his limitations.
And my bad I'm actually not even blaming Hurney in this particular situation. I'm just reinforcing the fact that a lot of Ron's success has Gettleman's name attached to it. So.
That's very true.
Well, I always felt like Ron and Gettleman had they were like real buddy. I always thought that was odd when Gettleman came over after Hurney left. It seemed like Rivera and Gettleman hit it off immediately. How often do you see the GM actually sit in on press conferences with the head coach? You really never see Hurney do that. But
it doesn't matter when the new GM doesn't get along with the owner. So
that is true.
Here we are.
That is true.
All right. Well, look. We got any other closing remarks on the state of affairs right now? Any more Cal Allen remarks?
I can't feel anything.
A fumble? You're gonna end the game on a fumble? That's like
on a fumble where you ran 25 yards back first.
And
hey, y'all play, man. Somebody run back 50 yards and if
you look at the play when he took that first cut to the right, he actually could have stayed in the pocket and he still would have been good.
You know what's ironic about that? He was making first read throws all game, but missed the damn first read on the play that counts the most.
Now, okay, look, we've been joking about this for the last couple of weeks. You guys, you're Cam Newton. You got benched in week 2 because you're hurt. A couple weeks ago, you get placed on IR. You've heard all the rumors about Cam needs to get out of here. Cal Allen is the savior. We are now on a 4-game losing streak. Is it 4?
4.
We're on the 4.
I stopped counting.
We're on a 4-game losing streak right now. What's your mindset right now if you're Cam Newton in relation to going into the season next year on the last year of your contract?
I gotta get healthy. I have to do whatever I have to do to get healthy. I don't know if surgery is required or if it will be involved, but if it is, please hurry up and do it. Like, do whatever you got to do to be ready by training camp. That's it, man. I mean, especially on the last year of your deal, because not only do you not want to come back for Panthers purposes, you want to come back for Cam Newton purposes. I don't want to mess up my money. I mean, either way, if you're in a Panthers uniform or you're not in a Panthers uniform, man, audition. Make sure you're setting yourself up for a good future.
If I'm Cam, I'm taking a step back. What's the best fit for me to succeed? Is where I'm going. Do they have the necessary skill players? And most importantly, do they have offensive line?
Do they have offensive line? Let's say
I'm
that
looking
again.
at Carolina right now. We can't pass block worth of nothing.
It was terrible today, man.
And I'm looking long and hard, and I'm having those deep conversations with my inner circle. I'm like, okay, if I come back to Carolina, I'm an older quarterback now. Can I realistically take the punishment and carry the load?
Who has an injury history
Who has an injury history. Can I realistically take that punishment and carry the load like I used to? Or do I need a running back to hand the ball off to and some safety valves on the outside? So I have those conversations with my team, and until Carolina shows me that they're willing and committed to putting a adequate offensive line around me, I'm not sure I want to come back.
Okay, you said until they show you that they are willing and committed. Keep that thought in your mind, okay? I'm going to let Kaz answer the question.
I think he's going to have to talk to whoever the coach is, because I'm serious. It may not be Ron Rivera. So you've got to see, okay, what are your plans for me? Because not every NFL coach wants a Cam Newton.
Right.
He's that kind of player where it's like, they might prefer a Kyle Allen. So you got to look at that. But it's mainly going to depend on, okay, what are the Panthers doing in the offseason? Do they look, because the thing is, for years and years, we'd always said Cam Newton doesn't have enough weapons, whether it's offensive line or receivers or whoever. So to be fair, he's got a few weapons that he didn't have before. Christian McCaffrey is a weapon. We know that. DJ Moore, we are seeing the ascension of DJ Moore.
Right.
Ian Thomas looks like he's going to be a pretty good successor to Greg Olsen. So
we're hoping.
Yeah, exactly. I hope he gets better.
He will probably, and Ian Thomas will probably be the starting. Oh,
definitely.
Sunday,
So Cam's got those weapons. So now the last piece of the puzzle is the offensive line. So what does Carolina do in the offseason? Do they draft a DB or another linebacker? Then if I'm Cam, I'm like, or if they don't try and make some moves to pick up, anything's better than what they got right now, right? Yeah. So I think that's gonna, if I'm Cam Newton, that's what I'm looking at in my decisioning.
Okay, so let me punch that question one more time, okay? Because you guys didn't answer the way I was hoping you would. Okay, so you mentioned Cam Newton has to get healthy. Both of you guys are saying you're looking at the team as far as what they do as far as offseason moves and all that stuff. With everything that has happened this season.
Oh, I feel vindicated.
Well, okay, you feel vindicated, but are you using this season and the way it's unfolding to go in there and leverage yourself into an extension so that you don't go into your last season, which is an audition, and possibly get hurt to the point that you don't?
I don't think it's possible. I don't think that's possible. Just simply because of the injury history. He like Rodney said, he doesn't have that leverage yet. My whole thing, that's why I'll go back to what I said, get healthy and audition yourself this season.
I don't even think one season's enough. I think the Panthers will probably franchise tag him after next season.
Which it actually would be smart on their part.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because then you have 2 seasons to evaluate his health and his play. One season isn't enough because we see it all the time. Guy balls out in a contract year, and then in the fall,
Nic Batum.
We'll talk about that in a minute. But I think if you're the Panthers, you franchise tag Cam.
My blood pressure just went up.
Yeah, and then 2 years to evaluate Cam Newton is more than enough. And then you don't even have to give him a 7-year or even a 5-year at that point because you've already paid him 1 year via the franchise tag.
See, my issue is, do we have 2 years to evaluate? To me, you have to take a chance at this point. If you're uncertain by Cam, you have to draft a quarterback in the first round, or early.
But I think 2 years is a good enough time to do that, because if a new coach is coming, you don't want to evaluate Cam's play the first year under a new coach. Right. So you kind of need some kind of buffer there, and I think you can find a good quarterback in 2 years, but here's the thing: like we said, Cam's gonna want them to build the team around him. Yeah. If you want a good quarterback, you got to get one in the first 2 rounds. So
I slightly, surprisingly disagree with y'all on the quarterback thing because look, man, it's a perfect opportunity for us to be hard on Kyle Allen today. He is what he is, but he's also young. Let's keep that in mind. We have to be fair and objective.
He's younger than Will Grier.
He's younger than Will Grier, okay?
Are we too hard on him? Because this is essentially his rookie season.
No, look, listen, man. In terms of trying to go out and find a new quarterback, I think unless you see a quarterback out there and you just like, I just know this dude is it. If Justin Herbert is like, man, you know what? I don't need to see no more. Unless it's like that, I wouldn't be too keen on getting a new guy just yet. You get what I'm saying? And more importantly, there's just other holes on this team, man. Right. Like I think fix those first. Why is my phone doing this? I'm sorry, but I would just be more keen on fixing this defense before I go all out on the young quarterback first. All right.
Man. Well, speaking of
this defense is.
Speaking of going all out, the Panthers will be going out of Charlotte next week to head down to Atlanta and take on the Falcons. So what do you guys expect the next week when they take on the Falcons? Mind you, the Falcons didn't play today because they played on Thanksgiving, so they're going to be very well rested. Yeah.
28-21 Atlanta.
28-21 Atlanta.
35-3 Atlanta. I have no faith in this team anymore, man.
I'm going to say 28-25 Carolina.
Wow.
You don't play the way you played against Atlanta and then come out flat. I remember when I said before the Saints game, we were sitting there watching, I said I got a good feeling about this game because I felt like the Panthers felt like they had something to prove after getting shellacked by Atlanta. Now you go up against the division champs, and I think they played a good game. I mean, if our kicker could kick, we would have won that game.
Yeah.
So I think it's the same. It's going to be the same thing that your division rival. They got one against you in your house. You go against them in their house. The Panthers are mad. They're upset. They're gonna go and they're gonna play well.
I'm gonna change my pick, but I also want to say one thing. My last pick was emotional. Could you tell? So, no, I'm gonna say we lose another close game, 30-27, and my reasonable way of saying that is we've been losing close games. It's a pattern, and I just don't see how that changes next week. But here's what I wanted to say. So I'm watching that New Orleans and Atlanta game on Thanksgiving.
Ooh, you had a bad Thanksgiving.
And New Orleans, they made Matt Ryan look pedestrian. They made him look flustered. They confused him. They got after him. I think they sacked him 5 times. And I look at the talent on New Orleans' defensive line, their defense, and I look at us on paper. Y'all know on paper don't mean everything, but I look at us on paper, and I say to myself, why the hell can't that ever be us when we play Atlanta?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Why is it that they make Matt Ryan look a certain way, but he's Joe Montana every time he plays us? I'm confused.
Atlanta's our daddy.
Here's what I'm looking at. Last season, we started out 6-2. And then we ended the game on like going 1-5 or something like that. And being the head coach, you have got to keep your team motivated throughout the entirety of the season, no matter how bleak it gets. So we come into this season, we start off 0-2. Cal Allen comes in. We go on a 4-game winning streak. Now we've lost X amount of our games in the last X amount of our games, and now we are 5-7 right now. And
5-3
at one point we were 5-3, talking about trading Cam Newton. And now we're talking about Ron's hot seat. We're talking about Cam Newton now having a secure spot here in Carolina. Ron Rivera, for the second straight year, is having to come up with these motivational speeches to try and keep his team motivated. And after today's loss, the team has to be looking at the standings and we're not going to the playoffs.
Right.
We're not going to. So I don't think there's nothing to say to get them motivated.
That's true, and here's the thing about Ron Rivera, and if he keeps his job, this will be it. We've seen this. In fact, this is kind of like the bizarro world Ron Rivera. Typically, the Panthers started off poorly, and then Ron Rivera would say, I don't here's some gummy bear juice or whatever, and the Panthers went 8 in a row and make the playoffs.
Right.
The last this season and the last season has been the opposite. We start off well, which we always said, if the Panthers could just start a season off well, we'll be okay.
Right.
And then the fall off happens. So it's possible.
Well, we'll see what happens. But hey, y'all, we got to go take a break real quick, and then we'll be right back. All right. And we're back. So we're going from our favorite team to our other favorite team, those good old Charlotte Hornets. All right. So we're gonna do our weekly wrap up. On Monday of last week, they took a loss to the Heat, 100-117, and then they found a way to beat the Pistons twice on Wednesday and Friday before getting slacked by 40 points by the Milwaukee Bucks last night. So let's wrap up last week and what we got to talk about. What's the biggest thing that you guys got from last week?
Can we play Detroit every game?
Right.
Can we submit?
Can we please play Detroit?
Let's submit something to Silver. We play them 12 times a year.
With as bad as we are, the fact that we have beaten Detroit 9 or 10 times in a row, Detroit should be relegated to the G League or something.
The main red clause.
How do you?
Let me say something about the Detroit Pistons. I was at a game last year where we beat them again, and I might have been with one of y'all. I don't remember, but I said to y'all, I said, I don't think Blake Griffin and Andre Drummond need to play together much longer. I said, one of them needs to get traded. And doggone it, look what's happening. And here's exactly why I say that, man. Blake Griffin and Andre Drummond, for their talent, they're not the highest IQ players, in my opinion. And I hate saying that, man, because it sounds mean, but I'm just saying that off of observation. Look, man, we're not a very good basketball team, but I say that because I feel like the Pistons kind of gave us some games and gave us some opportunities to win. You get what I'm saying? Somebody needs to tell Blake Griffin, you're not Dirk Nowitzki. And every time he shot the ball, I would say, man, please, just keep shooting, man. Keep shooting, because we're going to win if Blake Griffin keeps shooting. And ta-da, we beat him twice.
I mean, he almost pulled it out the other night.
The second night, he was better. Well. No, the second night, he was better.
Here's what gets me about the Pistons. We don't match up well with them. In fact, a lot of our fans stated when we lost to Milwaukee, man, JB needs to do the small ball doesn't work. Well,
small ball worked against
it worked against Detroit. I mean, they have a much bigger front court than we do, and you're going to take. Would you take Biyombo and Miles Bridges over Blake Griffin and Andre Drummond? Hell no.
Nobody would.
Nobody would.
Right.
So that's what's odd to me about why we match up well against, or why we're able to beat the Pistons despite not matching up well with them.
One thing that stuck out to me was within this streak, PJ Washington has come back on. It seemed like he hit the rookie wall, but he's adjusting his game to the way the defense is playing him, and this is like super like
encouraging.
It's encouraging because like we haven't had a rookie like this good in like forever, and so it's just encouraging to see him actually getting better and actually have the basketball IQ to make those adjustments.
I don't think. May the Lord strike me down, but Kimba wasn't as good as a rookie.
No, he was not.
Not as a rookie.
It's so like Rodney said, it's like, which is like to all the Tank fans, do y'all not see
that
like
you can get talent at 12?
We got you can get
talent at 3.
We got PJ, we got Devontae Graham. Who are we tanking for? LaMelo Ball? No, absolutely not. So
listen.
But listen,
don't get me started,
with as bad as the record is with the Hornets, we see how good they are. We see the flashes. We see the excitement. With the amount of dunks that we have with this team, with the amount of assists that we have, and the ball movement, could you imagine taking Terry Rozier off the court and putting LaMelo Ball on there? Could you imagine? LaMelo Ball is putting up triple doubles like every single game.
Man, we really have a conversation about LaMelo.
I would love to have LaMelo Ball here.
I don't think LaMelo Ball is going to be a bad NBA. In fact, I think he'll be much better than his brother.
Oh, I agree.
I don't know if he would be a good fit for the Hornets. The reason being is if you got a player like LaMelo Ball, he's got to be the guy that runs the show. Look, this is Devontae Graham's show to run.
Hey man, look, this was my argument. Devontae's almost 25. I mean, he's good trade bait at this point.
Now, seriously, have you guys watched LaMelo Ball play?
Seriously. Hey man, that kid can play.
He can play, man.
He can play.
Hey, is he worth tanking for?
No.
All
of y'all are missing something. Is he worth bringing his daddy here?
Now look, I was wondering who would be the guy to say that. Jamal's so disappointed in you right now. Okay, I get it. With LeVar comes a lot. But seriously, when is the last time have you heard something from LeVar Ball?
I mean, he's been banned.
Big Baller Brand went bankrupt, and they found out that he was embezzling. His friend was embezzling, but then he called his own son. What did he say about him?
They did have a disagreement.
He essentially called him an idiot, and then when your son distances himself from your businesses, the brands that really made him what he is, I think that constitutes a bigger problem. But the conversation is not about LeVar.
It's LaMelo. Let's keep it basketball.
Yeah, LaMelo.
So, enough about the balls. I want to go back to the Miami game real quick, man. And I'm going to have to take a shower after I say this, man.
Miami's good, bro.
God damn, I want to be Miami, man.
I don't understand how they're good. I was looking at...
I'm going to tell you why they're good. Let me tell you why they're good. Eric Spoelstra can get that. He can coach. Eric Spoelstra is a hell of a coach, man.
And also what they do, They always find every year these diamonds in the rough.
Who is Kendrick Nunn?
Yeah, Kendrick Nunn.
Who's
Duncan Robinson. And then who the hell thought Tyler Hero would be this good? Tyler Hero is what we thought Malik Monk would be.
Honestly, Nunn was actually found in the G League. I think he spent like 2 years.
Is it really
in the G League.
Spoelstra or is it the Pat Riley effect?
It's both. It's both, man.
Both,
It's
man.
both. And listen, man. I hope no Miami Heat fans watch this, man, because I hate them. Because I hate them. But at the same time, when I watch the Heat play, it brings out every insecurity I have about me as a Hornets fan and this franchise, dude.
But hold up.
But
Look at what we've got right now with Mike
I
and
can dig
JB and Mitch. I
can dig it. I can dig it. But at the same time, man, it's just like, I mean, it might be me being impatient because we're not there yet.
What I'm saying? What if Miami is just a better Charlotte right now? And here's what I mean.
I agree with that.
That's what I mean. But listen, y'all are gonna be upset when I say this, okay? Charlotte is playing better than most people expected, right? And you guys know me. I have said that because it's the Kemba Walker effect.
Sorry.
Because now that he's gone, there's a lot more ball movement. Like one guy isn't dribbling the ball for 20 seconds out of the shot clock before he's throwing up a desperation shot.
Except Malik Monk.
We're gonna leave that alone. Miami is year one minus Dwayne Wade.
Right.
What if they're just able to play team ball right now?
I mean,
not New York. Brooklyn is now 6-2 with Kyrie Irving on the bench. Is it really the Spoelstra
At the end of the day, that's cool and all, but during the playoff time, you gotta have that guy to get their own bucket.
Or do you really? Okay, so actually, you bring up a good point because if you look at, let's look at the teams. Really, only 3 teams have won championships, or 4. Toronto. So Toronto, Golden State, Cleveland with LeBron James, and then before that, San Antonio, and then you had Miami before that, and then Dallas. None of those guys really had hero ball players. You can make a case for Kevin Durant, but if you look at how Golden State played,
but it's Kevin Durant though. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's Kevin Durant. So and look at what JB's trying to do with the Hornets. He wants to bring that San Antonio, and we're seeing it this year. We're seeing the assists, the ball movement.
The perfect example is San Antonio, Miami Heat. That's the perfect example. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you got a point.
But at the same time, man, like. I've always thought Spoelstra was a great coach. You get what I'm saying? And look, this is one unimportant regular season game, but I always look at every game to gauge exactly where we're at. I hate we're not there. Maybe we're not supposed to be there yet.
Yeah,
right.
And one other unrelated thing I want to say. So that Miami game, right? We go on a little 8-0 run, and Cody Martin is in the game, and JB inexplicably takes him out. And they go on a 12-0 run and essentially end the game.
Thank you for saying that because
I don't know what to say.
Earlier this week, JB made a statement that he was frustrated with the team and that nobody has like God-given rights. Was that the phrase that he used? Yeah. Nobody has God-given rights to minutes men play,
except for one guy.
But he basically was saying that like it's open game for anybody to get minutes. The first game after he made those statements, he inserted Bismack Biyombo into the starting lineup, but not because Cody Zeller was playing bad, only because Cody Zeller was hurt.
Right.
So all week, the only thing that we saw this week that him do anything was insert Dwayne Bacon into the game last night. But we were down 40 points.
Right.
So he's saying that he's trying to adjust and put players in who deserve it. But
essentially, it looks like nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed at all.
So are we getting last season over again?
No. Here's what's, and a lot of fans, especially in the Hornets Facebook group, are missing this. The coach has to make in-game adjustments. When he doesn't, we get like the Ron Rivera conversation. Well, he's not making any adjustments, and a lot of times when JB, for instance, during the Detroit game, a lot of people were upset because he yanked Malik Monk. The thing is, we were up 4. Mm-hmm. Monk had a string of miscues, and then Detroit's up 8.
Right,
and then he pulls him. And then the Hornets go on a 15-4 run to win the game. So with the Cody Martin thing, I felt kind of like he should have let him live. But I think he felt like, okay, we now have an 8-point game or 8-point lead. Now I can bring in my offensive guys to kind of push it forward. And that just wasn't, that was an in-game adjustment that ended up not being a good one. But I think a lot of times that's what JB does. He's not afraid to mix the rotations up at all. We saw that last season. And I think he's just trying to find out, what works.
I have one question. How does Nic Batum help at all? Like, I look at this guy play and I'm frustrated. He's supposed to be the connector. He still makes stupid mistakes. He's missing his shots.
I'm gonna give you an easy answer to that, and this might surprise you because I still think he's at this point in the season. It's long seasons, things change, all that stuff. At this point, he's a better option than Dwayne Bacon. That's it. Because
I don't know.
No.
Lately, and that's why I said at this point in the season, things change.
Now, because Batum can do more than just
he's a
having to score, having to score the basketball. He can do things that other guys on the team at that position can't do. So.
Here's my frustration with Batum. I have no problem with Batum putting up 0 points, 7 assists, 5 blocks. I have no problem with him putting up those stat lines because everyone's not a scorer. My problem with Nic Batum is when he's standing on the perimeter and Malik Monk passes him the ball, and in like 2 seconds, he passes it right back.
Yeah.
He doesn't even try to get in the offense. Yeah. That's my biggest. And if you pay attention to his game, like we could be standing right here, he will literally take the ball from me, give it right back, and then you'll be like, "No, you take it," and then he'll give it right back. Like look for a shot.
But here's the thing: I want you to think about something. Do you want a guy doing that? Or do you want a guy dribbling into 3 people, shooting over 3 people, missing a shot, and then not getting back on defense?
I'm not saying.
I'd rather Cody Martin with the hustle.
I would love him. If I had to choose, I would rather go with Cody Martin since we're still going with the youth movement. But I should not see a $25 million paid man on the stat sheet going 0 for 0 when it comes to field. If you go 0 for 5, he's shooting.
Vince,
he's at least shooting.
Vince, let me. You need an intervention. I'm going to tell you why, man.
And it's funny because
Jamaal sounds like he's about to give you a hell of an excuse.
No, it's not an excuse. No, it's going to be far from an excuse. Here's your intervention. You have this thing called expectations. Let him go.
That's true.
You're still expecting Nick to be something that he's not going to be.
I've given up on the idea of Nic Batum as being
aggressive guy.
Yeah, he just gets paid too much for his role on the team. But the role that he acquiesced to now is actually a valuable role. It really can be.
I will agree with that.
Yeah.
I just don't like seeing an NBA player playing 30+ minutes and not shooting 0 for 0.
I agree.
I agree, but I don't
really not see you at all.
To be fair though, his minutes, even when he's come back, are nothing like they were before or last season. Right. He's like averaging like 22 minutes a game since he's come back, and I think JB likes to have him in the game because one, he's long and lengthy. He can actually play defense
when he wants to.
But he's actually played defense pretty good this season.
And he can play the 2 and the 3, which is something that really no one else on the team can do. Dwayne Bacon can do it a little bit offensively, but plus Nick can see the floor. If he wants Nick to bring the ball up, he can do that.
It's funny. Nic Batum had such a Nic Batum week, and let me explain why. The 2 wins against Detroit, I thought he was pretty valuable, man, because Derrick Rose has a throwback night, and they make an adjustment, putting Nic Batum on him, and he actually slowed him down a lot. Yeah. I mean,
had a great block
on him, a great clutch block, and he was very valuable those 2 games. Taking back the Milwaukee game, the look on JB's face was like, "I've had enough for you today.
He chokes to the bench.
Please go, come sit down." That's a Nic Batum. That's what Nic Batum is right there. He summed it up in 1 week, right there.
Okay, so I want to turn this entire conversation around. And Rodney, I think you've been waiting on this one. So our $19 million point guard, Mr. Terry Rozier, who I just don't believe will ever be accepted by the fan base, has been the topic of conversation within the fan base this week. I don't even know what the question is that I'm trying to ask right now, but give me your guys. Okay, we're 21 games in right now, right? So the pundits always say 20 games is when you can assess a team or when you can assess a player. So give me your assessment on Terry Rozier from the fans' perspective, with the way that we criticize him going into the season up until now with the way he's played.
To me, he seemed like he's worth the contract. He just needed the opportunity. He's averaging 17.5 a game, shooting 43%, 86% from the free throw line, 36% from the three, which is essentially league average, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. And he's part-time point guard. We did not expect Devontae Graham to be this good. And for fans to act like we knew he was going to be this good, why did we sign Terry is hindsight thinking, and it's retarded.
But you know what? And why are we even bringing? I know why. This is a hypothetical question. But why are we even talking about Devontae Graham when it comes to Terry Rozier?
Let me tell you why. Because fans were upset that we bought Rozier in. They said he was overpaid, and they complained about his shooting percentages being 30-something%. He's exceeded all expectations, and so you had to go to advanced metrics to support your argument.
Anybody see? Did they post Rozier's BPM after he didn't miss a three?
Never seen it.
They didn't post it. They didn't post it. Surely ESPN showed it on the stat ticker or something, right? Because it's like super important, right?
So, do you guys think? Do you guys think there is anything, or what does Terry Rozier have to do to silence those critics?
Man, nothing. There's nothing he's going to do, man. And I'll say this, man. I actually think he's trending upward, man. As far as the season progresses, I still want him to cut down on some of the turnovers, man. The turnovers, really.
That is a legit criticism,
and with Devontae Graham too, with both of our point guards, I really want them to cut down on some of the careless turnovers, man. But as far as getting back to expectations and him living up to the contract, man, just continue to play like he's been playing. That's all I can say, man. Because again, I see it going upward, man. It's too early for shout-outs, right? It's too early.
We'll get to that.
We're gonna get to y'all know who I'm gonna shout at today.
Yeah. I just feel like, first of all, as we stated, the Devontae Graham, using Devontae Graham as some kind of justification for why Rozier doesn't deserve his contract is absolutely ridiculous. No one foresaw this. To be fair, there were a lot of fans who were like, well, Graham should start. There were a few people saying, hey, if Kimba leaves, Graham should be our guy. And to you guys, kudos. But for the most part, no one really foresaw Graham being this good. I mean, he's like, y'all don't understand. He's really, really good, y'all. So if the Hornets had known Graham was going to be this good, would they have brought in Rozier?
Probably not.
Probably not. But no one foresaw it, and they brought Rozier. Also, Rozier is kind of settling into his role now.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so he's not what we brought him here to be. Who cares? Have you seen the production?
That part ain't important.
You really, I want you to think about, when was the last time the Hornets had anyone besides Kemba Walker average 17 points a game?
Al Jefferson?
Al Jefferson.
Years ago.
Literally, Al Jefferson was the last. Even Jeremy Lamb last year ended the season slightly under.
I think it was like 15 or 16.
Yeah. Same with Nic Batum. So you're really gonna take away 17 points a game because that's like not what we brought him here for? No, that's ridiculous.
And one of the only few guys who can get his own shot. Keep that in mind.
Exactly.
When it comes.
Well, and speaking of getting your own shot, on Monday we have Mr. Devin Booker coming in town. So, what are your guys' predictions for this week coming up? We got Phoenix on Monday. Mm-hmm. We got Golden State on Wednesday. We got Brooklyn on Friday, and then we have Atlanta on Sunday. So, what do you guys?
2-2.
I'm gonna be optimistic.
Okay. Oh shit.
I'm gonna say 3-1, man.
3-1. 3-1.
Who's the one loss?
I say Jersey gets us again.
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's the deal. If Kyrie Irving plays with Brooklyn,
we win.
We go 4-0. We go 4. I'm going 4-0. I'm going 4-0.
So I think we'll lose to Phoenix. I think for 2 reasons. Devin Booker is going to be Devin Booker. Devin Booker has much improved this season, and Frank Kaminsky going to come back and have people talking about,
too much faith in Frank.
Man, why wasn't Frank doing that? Why he wasn't doing that when he played with us? Watch. Watch.
I actually kind of believe that.
Oh, gosh.
Who gonna guard Frank Kaminsky?
But here's the thing, man. Here's why.
PJ.
I actually think we win tomorrow because Phoenix started off real hot and they beat some real good teams.
That's
and I was
true,
like, man, where is this coming from? But
the tape's out now.
But the tape's out now, man, and they've actually dropped quite a few the last couple of weeks or so, man. So.
But all right, y'all. So we're gonna take another small break,
But,
and then we'll be.
hold on.
Oh, my bad. Jamaal
yet.
got something to say.
No, we play Golden State here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I expect to see all you diehard Golden State fans in the building. Steph Curry. I hope to see y'all.
Oh man. Yeah. Hey, well, now we're gonna take a break, and then we'll be right back for our culture segment. All right, and we're back. All right, so we're gonna wrap things up with our culture segment. So, with us being African Americans, we always look to other African Americans for motivation or whatever words you want to throw in there. One African American within the sports community, Mr. Stephen A. Smith, pretty polarizing guy. And depending on your beliefs, depending on your stance on certain issues, you may agree with him, you may not. But one thing's for sure, when his name is mentioned, emotions get high. So real quick, I want to ask you guys, when it comes to Stephen A. Smith, are we too hard on Stephen A. Smith sometimes?
I'm going to surprise y'all. I actually think we are sometimes.
What?
I agree.
Well, go. Give me.
I'll go, man. When Stephen A's when he speaks, everyone listens. He's loud. He can be a little obnoxious sometimes.
Most New Yorkers are.
But at the same time, he makes his points very clear. But I think when you have a strong personality like Stephen A. Smith, there are a lot of people who don't want to like him automatically. I know this from having somewhat of a strong personality. Like, people are going to take what you say.
You don't say.
And if it's one thing they don't like what you say, they're going to throw you away. I think that's the case with Stephen A. Smith. Now, let me be very clear. That does not to say that I agree with everything he says, okay? I want to make that very, very clear. But I think people don't listen to everything he has to say on a particular topic. He'll say one negative thing about someone we love and adore, and that's it. He's wrong. I hate the guy. He's a coon. He's this. He's that. And that's why it's a little strong when it comes to Stephen A. Smith. Because I want to say something in particular. He says things he doesn't like about black athletes. Sometimes we like it, sometimes we don't. But I need people to understand this about Stephen A. Smith. That dude has defended black athletes for over 2 decades, and he's done it over and over and over and over and over and over again. Negativity travels a lot faster than positivity does. And when Stephen A. Smith says something that's not in favor of someone we don't like, or it's deemed as negative, that gets pushed in our face a lot more than he's defended black athletes.
What you got, Rodney?
Don't shoot me for saying this, but to me, in the African American community, we sometimes get guilty of groupthink. We're all supposed to think one way all the time.
Don't say.
And we don't value diversity in opinions, and we don't like to have dialogue about things that are hard or questions we need to answer. And actually, I respect him a lot for that, because when he has an opinion, he stands on it. I can respect the man, even if you're right or wrong, who stands on what they believe in.
He's not a flip-flopper at all.
No, not at all. Like, if he stay off the weed, like, that's his stance. And one thing I do admire about him as well is that he's an advocate of HBCUs, which we don't talk about a lot. He went to Winston-Salem State. Shout out to the Rams. But I really like the fact that he's out here. He's not making a total fool of himself in the public. His opinions might be foolish sometimes to people, but he's not out here getting in trouble. He's stating his opinion in an eloquent way. And like it or not, they're bringing up conversations that we actually need to have. And to me, it's totally unfair to label everybody that you don't agree with a coon, a sellout, anything of that nature.
Now, do you think these criticisms are a one-time thing? Like, I watched Stephen A. Smith say something about this, and I didn't like it. So automatically, I'm calling him a sellout. a sellout, or do you think this has been?
This is the problem with Stephen A. Smith. Okay, he toes the company line.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
I think we can agree with that too.
And he'll do. I'm a black man in America. No one wants to hear that. We're all black men in America, so we are all part of the same struggle in that capacity. And in fact, I would say that sometimes he loses sight of what it means to be a regular black man in America. Yeah. Stephen A. Smith's not a regular black man in America, makes a lot of money. He's a celebrity in that. So when you have someone that toes the company line, and to us, to normal African American men, like that's the company line is dangerous. Yeah. So so sometimes it comes down to, okay, if Stephen A. had to really pick a side, whose side would he pick?
Right.
And if he's always picking ESPN's side on these issues, then if it came down to like a real issue that really, really mattered, would he be on my side? No, he wouldn't be on my side, so therefore he's a coon. Now I don't agree with that, but I think that's how
I don't do that. Yeah, I don't agree with that.
But a lot of people do. That's how they see it. They feel like, hey, you got to pick a side.
I feel like Stephen A. Smith looked at the Dave Chappelle show and said, you know what, that when keeping it real goes wrong, that is real ass life, man.
When did you guys get introduced to Stephen A. Smith?
I remember he had that talk show.
I mean, yeah, like 20 years ago.
Yeah. He was on Cold Pizza.
Matter of fact,
he used to always be with Allen Iverson articles and things like that.
Yeah, and ESPN had an NBA show called like NBA Tonight. Like that way back then. So
the reason why I asked that question is because Stephen A. Smith, he's been in journalism for
a long time.
2-3 decades. Yeah. Like we'll say 25 years, something like that. But the profile that he has now, he really didn't get this profile until he started speaking out against African American athletes the way that he do. So and that's kind of where my question came from a Facebook group. Somebody actually posted this in the group asking if we're too hard on him. So I
want to ask you a question.
Okay.
When you say speaking out against African American athletes, in what capacity and what exactly
let's say name a white athlete.
Kyle Allen.
Bryce Harper.
Bryce Harper.
Okay, let's say Bryce Harper. Let's say Bryce Harper got cited for having possession of marijuana, right? Mm-hmm. Stephen A. will say stay off of the weed, but Stephen A. will basically say he's a young kid, he's immature, he made a mistake. Mm-hmm. There's no sense in excoriating him like the masses are doing. Give him a chance.
Right.
But as soon as insert African American athlete gets caught with the same thing, it's like his decibels are on stadium. See, it's a lot more.
I'm thinking in his mind, we have a shorter leash to him, but it's not right to me how he expresses it. Right. But I can see the mind frame he's coming from.
Look, you can think of this however you want to, because people are gonna feel differently about that particular thing. I'm gonna give you an example. Chad Johnson, Chad Ochocinco, whatever his name was at the time. He went to court for headbutting his wife or something. Yeah. Okay. He's in court with his lawyer. He wins the case essentially. He pats his lawyer on the butt, and the judge gives him time because of that. Stephen A. Smith went ballistic. He was just like I can't believe you were that stupid. I say all that to say, you may think I personally think he's more vocal about us when we mess up because he wants us to do better. He cares about us more. I don't know if everybody feels that way. You get what I'm saying? But I do. But I also understand the other side of that. I understand why black people will look at that and be like, man, why are you so hard on us?
Well, plus, if your interactions, so to be fair, the majority, I don't know the exact number, but I'm just going to guess the majority of professional athletes in major North American sports are black.
Right.
So he's...
Take out hockey. Take out hockey.
So, hey, it's some of us in there too.
It's a few. Yeah.
So, but... most of his interactions, because he's a journalist and we know that there's like this rift between journalists and professional athletes, so he has a lot of negative interaction. For instance,
you don't want to make it anymore.
Yeah. I was just about to say the Kevin Durant situation. You don't want to make it.
I'll actually give him props there, because even though he takes a lot of heat when it comes to whatever it is he say, more often than not he ends up being right. And a lot of people do hate him for that Kevin Durant saga, but he ended up being right.
He was kind of right because remember he said that people told him that Kevin Durant's people told him he was going to LA,
right, and
that ended up not happening. Now, ultimately, he was right about Kevin Durant leaving OKC, but the details got kind of muddy. But I think my beef with that thing, and I think a lot of people's beef was, don't hold your status over another black person's head like I'm that HNIC here. Well, you don't want to make an enemy of me. It's like, dude, come on, really?
To be fair, is it a defense mechanism? Because he gets attacked a lot.
Yeah,
because I remember he actually broke the LeBron to Miami thing, and he was killed when he said that in the media. He got killed.
Well, I mean, that's part of being a professional journalist. You got to deal with it. You can't say that LeBron James and Kevin Durant are thin-skinned, something he said on the air many, many times, but yet when he feels the need to defend himself, it's suddenly
he comes across
anybody can get got. Or like when T.O. said
Max Kellerman is blacker than
you, and he got super.
To be fair, if you would say that to me, I would. Come on now.
But the thing is was T.O. completely wrong?
He wasn't completely wrong.
And you call me less black. I'm gonna be mad too, man.
I mean, man, like you got Max Kellerman who used to rap back in the day. Let's not forget that.
But Max Kellerman be sunning him on social issues.
A lot of time, and that's kind of where this question comes from. A lot of time, Max Kellerman is on the right side of the argument, which is because Terrell Owens ain't the first person to say that.
Let me explain.
He just said it on air to Stephen A.
I'm glad you said that, and I agree with that. However, there is a fine line, and I do mean there's a fine line between being quote unquote not woke and misguided.
But does it have to be woke?
Whatever you want to call it.
If we were talking one thing or just the Colin Kaepernick situation, maybe, but consistently, it's like, dog, how you let Max Kellerman son you?
Man, he's no Whitlock.
He's definitely not Whitlock. He's definitely
not Whitlock.
Now, in regards to Terrell Owens saying that Max Kellerman was more black, listen. I've been finding myself using this line a lot lately. Okay, I'm not saying I would do it. But I understand.
I mean, T.O. can't say that though, man. Like, well, I've never seen T.O. stand up for anything. But
you got to start at some point. You got to start.
But I got a question for Rodney.
But
I got a question for Rodney. Has T.O. ever had any chill? Ever?
No.
Yeah, this is the man who didn't sit up in his driveway.
Yeah, come on, man.
This is why he wasn't a first ballot Hall of Famer. Lastly, I'll say this also. With Stephen A. Smith, I mean, you got to call it what you are. You are an affluent African-American journalist that has a lot of influence in the sports world. Don't be like, I be in the streets every day too, T.O. No, you're not in the streets, bro.
You're not.
You got bodyguards.
Yeah, exactly. Right. You're not in the streets every day. The whole... there's something in the black community we understand. Anybody can get got. No, dog, stop. Just stop, man.
Hey, you guys got any closing remarks on this topic? you got anything, Rodney?
No, he never missed an opportunity to say you can get got.
Yeah, that's it. I can't add on to that.
Hey, we're going to have to come back to this topic later where we can spend more time on it, all right? But we're going to move on into our shout-outs, all right? So, Kaz, I'm going to let you go first.
Oh, boy, man. Okay, actually, yes, I do have a shout-out. So, F1 ended their 2019 season today. Lewis Hamilton won. Now, he had already won the championship a few weeks ago. So, that was a historic moment for... African American. I'm sorry, he's not African American. He's British, but he identifies as black. He's mixed race origin. But for a black driver to win, 6 F1 championships is incredible. But he came out after that and made a statement, and he's starting a program to get more children of color into racing. A lot of people don't understand that motorsports racing is really a thing of privilege. You got to have money, and he did not come from a family of privilege. His father had to work 3 or 4 jobs and sell stuff just to support him. Doing kart racing when he was a kid, so he could live his dream of being a race car driver. And he was saying that other kids shouldn't have to go through that. Their parents, it should be as accessible as any other sport. So he's starting programs, him and his sponsors, Mercedes, to try and get more people of color into motorsports. And I think that's an absolutely great thing. And that'd be great if we could do it in the United States. NASCAR has always been kind of like, seen as a white sport, quote unquote.
I love it.
Yeah, it would be great to change that, and so props to him for recognizing that and at least doing something to try and change it. So.
All right, big up. So I want to give a shout out to Charlie Strong. And there's a narrative that I kind of want to go with here. And there's a phrase that says, you got what you wanted, but you lost what you had. Mm-hmm. And I think Rodney and possibly Jamaal will be able to relate here. But Charlie Strong was a defensive coordinator at the University of Florida at one point. And then he got a head coaching job at the University of Louisville. And Louisville, I want to believe, was still in the Big East at the time. And there were conversations that Louisville would be moving to the ACC. And Charlie Strong was actually asked, how did he feel about going to the ACC? And he was against it. He didn't want to do it. And he was like, no coaches want to coach in the ACC. And I lost a lot of respect for Charlie Strong after he said, because I'm a Tar Heel fan, you know, so I'm a little thin-skinned when it comes to the ACC slander and whatnot. But he took a jab at the ACC and said nobody wants to coach over there. Okay, cool, whatever. Charlie Strong was building a little dynasty at Louisville. Like they were crushing folks' feet. Like they were doing what Clemson is doing now. And he
not quite.
he was on his rise. But Louisville being in the Big East not being a football conference, it was hard to build a program. So along came Texas. And what did Charlie Strong do? He packed his bags and he went to Texas. And anybody who knows me then knows that I was completely against it. Because even though he made those comments, Charlie Strong being a black man, I wanted to see him succeed. He had no chance at Texas.
Not at all.
No chance. Now, for the sake of time, I'm not going to go into that. But he was fired from Texas after, I think, 3 seasons. I think it was 3. I want to say it was 3. So he ended up at South Florida. And he had, I think his second season, he had a good year. But he just got fired today.
Ooh.
He just got fired.
I saw that.
He just got fired. And every time that I see him get fired, I just think back to what he could have done had he stayed at Louisville. To all the people that's out there, I know that we're steady chasing for that next great thing, but sometimes you might be good where you're at right now. So just make sure that you don't miss out on a good thing while you're searching for that great thing.
Absolutely.
Wise words.
That's all I got.
Okay, I got a few shout outs. Let me give a shout out to the Clemson University football team.
Here we go.
For winning 6 straight against the University of South Carolina. The Gamecocks, we are your father.
Don't forget to thank Auburn for securing your spot in the college football playoff because with Bama losing, you guys are guaranteed in now.
All right, and I also want to give a shout out to Travis Etienne. He became the all-time leader in touchdowns in ACC history, rushing in total touchdowns.
Under construction ACC edition. What is this, man?
I want to give a shout out to UNC Charlotte for accepting a bid
no doubt.
to the Bahama Bowl.
No doubt,
that's
big,
man.
And I want to give a shout out to Steph Curry for trying to develop a show about a retired professional athlete.
Yes,
I saw that.
No doubt.
And that's all I got.
I have a shout out. Shout out to DJ Justice, DJ DR, and Lonnie B for your event last night, man. I really want the over 35 crowd to check that event out monthly. It's called Justice for All. It was a great time. But to my shout at,
oh boy,
I'm gonna name some players. Okay, I'm gonna give y'all.
I thought you were gonna say name some people.
Waiting on
that one, boy.
I'm gonna name 4 basketball players. Okay, Corey Joseph, Tyus Jones, DeAndre Jordan, and Dwayne Dedman. Are any of those players? Would you rather have any of those players over Terry Rozier?
No,
absolutely not.
I would think about DeAndre Jordan.
He's falling off.
35-year-old DeAndre Jordan.
No. Okay. No.
But yet, somehow, some way, the Bleacher Report has Terry Rozier ranked as the #1 worst contract free agent signing in 2019 in NBA.
You got to stick with that narrative, man.
How? Please tell me what the hell Tyus Jones does on a nightly basis. Please tell me what the hell Dwayne Dedman contributes anything. Please tell me why Harrison Barnes is not on this list. Please tell me what Corey Joseph, what he contributes to that team on a nightly basis. Can somebody please explain to me how any of those 4 players are more valuable than Terry Rozier is to the Charlotte Hornets? Somebody please give me a logical explanation.
Quick fact. DeAndre Jordan actually just got benched in favor of Jared Allen about a week or so ago.
Say that one more time.
DeAndre Jordan was benched in favor of Jared Allen about a week or two ago.
And the only reason why he got that contract is because he's friends with Kevin Durant and
Kyrie Irving.
4 years, $40 million.
And he got benched. In favor of, you know what? His name isn't even Jared Allen. I don't acknowledge him. I acknowledge him as NBA Street. NBA Street. that is my name, NBA Street.
I got one shout out. Shout at too. So I was reading an article by Sports Illustrated. They list every NBA team what they should be thankful for Thanksgiving. The Charlotte Hornets, according to them, had nothing to be thankful for.
So that ties into my point at your shout out.
Michael Jordan's the worst owner in sports. What, you didn't know?
So every major media outlet, probably Sports Illustrated and Bleacher Report, probably, I'm going to guess, had us as the worst team in the league that we are definitely going to... No, not just might be, the Hornets are definitely going to be the worst team in the league. Why is it that every single major news outlet wants to take a shot at the Charlotte Hornets when there are other NBA franchises who do a lot worse and who make a lot worse choices? Somebody please explain why that is. I am sick of it.
We have a fickle fan base.
Time out, Riley, time out. We can't be thankful for Devontae Graham. We can't be thankful for PJ Washington, who is going to be on the all-rookie team. We can't be thankful for Miles Bridges' much improved play. How come that is never discussed amongst the national media? Why?
Because they don't watch Charlotte Hornets games because it's predetermined that we're going to lose.
They actually can't watch our games because Charlotte ended their contract with Spurs. You know what? Hey, guys, I want to thank you for watching and for listening.
Sick of it, man.
We appreciate the support. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and follow us on all platforms. And we'll see you guys next week. All right?
Peace.